It's honestly such an honor to be making this video, even though the news here is sad, because this man brought to life such a big part of my childhood, brought to life a character that is legendary, but more so has transcended film. James Earl Jones, the man who is probably most well known for voicing Darth Vader, has just passed away at the age of 93. And what an incredible life he has lived. And I thought that to honor his life, this video could be a bit of a tribute to James Earl Jones and to some of the things you might not have known about him and Darth Vader. Did you know that James Earl Jones couldn't actually speak for about 8 years of his life? In fact, it wasn't until he was around 14 years old that James Earl Jones began speaking more consistently. He had what's called selective mutism and a stutter, which would prevent him from being able to communicate, but he explained it was something he never really fully got over. He said it was always kind of a part of him.
There was a teacher who looked at one of your poems and said, "This is so good, I want you to prove that you wrote this."
Yeah.
Do you remember standing up and reading that?
Oh yeah, and getting through it without stuttering.
And I honestly think this is so inspirational and something most people don't know about James Earl Jones's journey and his life. The fact that such an iconic voice came from someone who originally wasn't even able to speak.
The rebels are alerted to our presence.
Did you know that James Earl Jones was originally uncredited for his work in the original Star Wars: A New Hope and for The Empire Strikes Back?
I want to know what happened to the plans they sent you.
In his own words, he referred to his involvement in the films as a special effect, and that most of the credit should go to David Prowse, who's actually in the Darth Vader suit. And when asked about his involvement in Star Wars, based on every interview I've seen, James Earl Jones always spoke with humility and almost always gave credit to David Prowse for his performance as Darth Vader.
What was involved in that? Because I actually heard that your involvement in that it wasn't...
I'm special effects. David Prowse did the role, of course, you know. And
For his voice work in the original Star Wars, James Earl Jones was only paid $7,000, which he said at the time was huge for him as he was broke. But for his involvement in Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, I believe James Earl Jones also negotiated royalties as part of his contract so that he'd receive a percentage of what the films earned at the box office. The original recording for A New Hope only took James Earl Jones 2.5 hours to complete. Apparently he was only at the studio for half a day to create what has become the most iconic voice, arguably, in all of cinema.
And so how much did you actually work on that film?
We spent about 2.5 hours to do Darth Vader.
That's incredible. You came in and did that in 2.5 hours, and it had such an effect on people.
We didn't know what we had, you know, and the second episode, we spent a whole day trying to figure out what we did right. You know?
But James Earl Jones wasn't actually George Lucas's first choice to voice Darth Vader. George Lucas originally wanted Orson Welles, who had a similar deep voice to James Earl Jones, but George feared that it would be too recognizable, therefore went with the much more unknown James Earl Jones.
So he called around. I think he thought of Orson Welles first, and then realized that he might be too recognizable.
That's right.
So he picks a kid that comes from Mississippi who stutters and raised in Michigan, you know.
Upon reading the script for Empire Strikes Back and delivering the line, "I am your father,"
I am your father.
James Earl Jones thought Darth Vader in this scene was actually lying to Luke and was just trying to manipulate him, and that the truth would eventually come out in the third film of the trilogy, The Return of the Jedi. Also, as a little side note, the "I am your father" line is commonly mistaken as "Luke, I am your father." Possibly the biggest example of the Mandela effect in cinematic history, where people collectively remember something different to how it actually occurred.
That's impossible!
James Earl Jones reprised his role as Darth Vader multiple times, including for 5 episodes of Star Wars Rebels,
Your master has deceived you.
as the voice of Darth Vader in Rogue One,
Be careful not to choke on your aspirations, Director.
the Star Wars Holiday Special,
I want the rebels located and identified.
and also for the ending of Revenge of the Sith, where Anakin becomes Darth Vader. Although for this role in Revenge of the Sith, he also went completely uncredited. And in 2005, when he was asked specifically if he voiced Darth Vader in Revenge of the Sith, he replied to the journalist, "You'd have to ask Lucas about that, I don't know." James Earl Jones made a cameo as the voice of Darth Vader in the 2006 comedy The Benchwarmers.
You may enter.
Thanks, Darth! Thanks, Darth!
James Earl Jones also had 3 lines that were recorded specifically for The Rise of Skywalker.
Inside your head.
And this was his final voice role as Darth Vader. However, in 2022, James Earl Jones signed a deal with Lucasfilm so that they could use archival recordings of his voice to artificially recreate the voice of Darth Vader through Respeecher software. This is the Darth Vader we hear in the Obi-Wan Kenobi series.
There can be no mistakes.
And is likely the Darth Vader we're going to continue to hear in future Star Wars projects. Now, outside of Star Wars, James Earl Jones is also a legendary actor of both the screen and the stage. His breakthrough film appearance was in the 1964 Stanley Kubrick film Dr. Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb.
Presley.
But he also appeared in The Lion King as Mufasa,
Everything the light touches is our kingdom.
in Conan the Barbarian alongside Arnold Schwarzenegger,
Must have been when I was younger.
in Coming to America with Eddie Murphy,
I'm King Joffrey Joffre, ruler of Zamunda.
in the baseball movie Field of Dreams, which he cited as one of his favorite performances.
The one constant through all the years, Ray, has been baseball.
But my personal favorite appearance of him outside of Star Wars is his role as a blind man in the 90s sitcom Frasier.
Just like her mother. Same cheekbones, same nose.
What a lovely nose it is.
This episode is hilarious, and a lot of that is due to his performance.
Are you here visiting somebody?
Oh, no, I'm just here with a friend of mine, Ross. She's here doing some community service.
Ah, the angel of death. Nice gal.
What an absolute legend. Just want to say thank you, James Earl Jones, for bringing so many memorable characters to life. You'll be missed.
Ladies and gentlemen, I stand before you deeply honored, mighty grateful, and just plain gobsmacked.